everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a huge book haul. This might be the biggest amount of books I've bought in a short time period in forever. This was all bought within the space of a couple weeks, which is not good, but I'm excited to read them all, as people usually are in book hauls. I kind of have different piles. They're massive piles, but I've kind of organised them somewhat. So I kind of have a lit fic, non-fiction, and then a bit spiritual, and then kind of my fun books, let's say. I'm going to go through them all. I don't really know where to start. Maybe literary fiction. I may not know a lot about these books because I like to go into books blind, so if I can't really give you an overview of what the book's about, then I'm sorry. The first book that I bought was I Who Have Never Known Man. This was on so many people's top books of 2024 and I just thought it was time for me to read it. This is about women who are in a bunker underground, I believe, and the youngest one has never seen a man. And I think it's feminist dystopian, and I just think it will be a great introduction for me into these wider topics. And a lot of this haul is me trying to branch out my reading taste. The next book I bought was Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This sounded good when it was in a hardcover, but I didn't want to buy the hardcover, so I waited for it to come out in this cover. And I believe this is just a story about a woman who's finding her identity within a relationship. The relationship might be toxic, I'm not sure, but I just think this is one for the girlies. I then bought two from Han Kang because they just sounded really interesting and I've heard great things about this author. I bought The Vegetarian, which I think is the one that she's widely known for, and this just really interested me because all it says on the back is she decides not to eat meat, but then starts a disturbing and thrilling psychological drama about taboo, desire, rebellion and fantasy. So I'm like, there's got to be more to it, so I picked up this one. And then I also got Greek lesson. This one sounded like it was going to be very intimate. It is about a woman who's lost the ability to speak and her Greek teacher who is on the edge of losing his sight. It's about how they communicate, human connection, that kind of thing. I think those two will be very thought-provoking. Okay, this one is a little bit rogue, but I saw a woman on TikTok say it was like a girl's night with a bottle of wine. It is The Symposium by Plato. This is the first philosophical book I will have ever read, and I feel like based on that one woman's review, I'm gonna love it. It's about these philosophers that come together to discuss love and what love means, what love is, and whether it can be defined. I then got one that seems very powerful and relevant to today's politics. Like I said, I'm branching out my reading. I want more thought-provoking reads. I want stuff that's going to stick with me, stuff that's going to educate me. I picked up Minor Detail. This is about Palestine in 1949, I think, and it is about the capture and assault of a young woman, and I saw so many people had this in their top books of last year, and I just think I need to read it. I need better understanding of worldly issues. On that same note, I've been wanting to branch into more translated fiction and stories from other parts of the world. Then I went on a little spree of kind of coming of age books. So the first one I got was Thirst for Salt. This one has been on my wish list for years. I've really wanted to get to it. It is about a woman who's reflecting on her relationship she had when she was younger, and I've heard great things about this one. I then bought A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. This is your classic coming of age story. I feel like if you research coming of age books, this one comes up so many times. And I believe it's just about a family in Brooklyn. Yeah, I don't know, I'm going into it blind, but I've heard this book really sticks with people. Same goes for The Idiot. I've heard such great things about this one, and I think this is about a girl who goes to Harvard and then she meets a man, but then she also meets loads of people. I don't really know, but I've heard it's great. The next one is one that I predict is going to become one of my favourite books of all time, and that is Betty. I've heard such great things about this one, and from what I do know, the story is about a young girl who is half Native American, I believe, Cherokee, and half white, and then it's just about her struggles. I believe it's an abusive home, maybe, I don't know, but I think it's going to be great. I then got The Women by Kristen Hannah. I posted a TikTok that was asking for people's top books, and this one came up so many times, and I love Kristen Hannah. I believe this is about a young girl who goes to be a nurse at the Vietnam War, but her books are just so powerful and they stick in my head for so long, and her characters are so strong. Then I got one that is also very important for today's politics, and that is A Thousand Splendid Suns. This is a book that people say it just sticks with them and is so impactful. And then lastly, I just have another Kristen Hannah, which is Night Road. I just saw this in my local shop, and I believe this is about friendship. I have Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is just like a classic. Not a literal classic, but you know what I mean, a modern classic maybe. This is your typical coming of age story. I've actually read another one by Elizabeth Gilbert. I read City of Girls and I loved that book. I gave that 5 stars, but I just wanted to read this one. I think she like travels around the world and learns things. The same woman who was hyping up the symposium also introduced me to The Enchanted April. This is a story where a group of women escape their lives in London to go, they rent a villa in Italy for a month and kind of recuperate, I guess, and try to see the better things in life, and that just sounds so fun. And look at how pretty the illustration is. Now we're on to non-fictions. I have The Bad Feminist Essays, which is just a book I've seen. Do you know on those videos that's like every girl in their 20s need to read these? This one was always in it, and there's actually one I'm so interested in. Dear young ladies who love Chris Brown so much they would let him beat them. Just think these will be so powerful. Then I bought this based on one TikTok comment. It's The Game of Life and How to Play It. I think it was in one of the videos I was watching about the spiritual books, and somebody just said this was a classic. They said they loved it. This is like an absolute classic within the self-help realm. Then I bought Tiny Beautiful Things, which is by the same woman who wrote Wild, which is a book I still need to read. My mum told me to read that, not got to it, but I want to. And I saw somebody say that they just gift this to all of their friends and they all love it, and yeah, I'm going to try this out. Also giving Dolly Alderton vibes, who I love. Lastly, I have Didion and Babbitt. This is a biography about both of the authors, and I saw somebody say that it was just gossip from start to finish, so I love that. Now I'm going to go into my like fun silly reads. Firstly, I had to get Onyx Storm. Listen. Fourth Wing. I know that it is not the best fantasy of all time, but to me it felt like Divergent, and that is my comfort film. Fourth Wing was Divergent with dragons. I loved it. I gave into the silliness, adored it. Iron Flame, the first time I read it I gave it 3 stars. I didn't like it, but then I reread it in order to read this and I gave it 5 stars. I was so obsessed with it, and then I've since read this. I did give it 5 stars. Listen, it's my adult Divergent. My mum just came back from a trip to America, and I asked her to pick me up the Taming 7 US copy because the one here is so gross, and I have the first 4 in the Boys of Tommen series in the indie published editions, but this one never got that edition, so I just got this one, which I love so much more. And then she surprised me with a copy of Binding 13. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which I was so excited for. It's got pink sprayed edges. It's got like this in the cover, and there's exclusive bonus material, so that was a huge treat. I'm in the Bloomsbury circle that you get ARCs every month, so they sent me Spiral, which is crazy because in my January TBR video I was saying I want to read this book, like it came out last month, and now they sent it me. The sports romance, I think, between hockey and ballerina. So now on to my spiritual books. I had a huge spirituality kick. I don't know what's going on, but I just needed to get my mindset in order, just needed to sort myself out. And I've read a couple other books before, like I've read the Roxy Nafousi books, Make It Happen by Jordan Levine, I think, or Levin, and I've just started reading Becoming Supernatural, which I'm loving. Firstly, I have the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I feel like this is just a good starting area, and I've just heard great things about this one. I feel like this is one everybody goes for. It's like the beginner's guide basically. Then I have The Source. This one just sounded so great, and it was like science to back up the spiritual side of stuff, and I just heard great things about this one. Self-compassion, because I realised I was being a meanie to myself and I needed to sort that out. And I feel like books just work so great as mentors. Like, I feel like whenever I'm reading a book like this, I just feel so motivated, powerful, enlightened. So that's why I have so many, so that I can feel coached along the way. So I bought this one. The Untethered Soul. I feel like this is a bit similar to the Laws of Success one, because this is just your beginner's guide, and this just looks so good. To be honest, I'm so excited to read all of these. I'm just trying to push through Becoming Supernatural. Wishes Fulfilled. This is about stepping into the mindset where you've already got everything you want, and I just think that would be a good little skill to have. Then I have The Big Leap, which is about understanding where you're self-sabotaging and how to overcome that. Then I bought The Power of Awareness. This Neville Goddard, he comes up everywhere, so I feel like if I just got his teaching straight from the source, that would be beneficial. And this one looks great. Then I have E Squared, which just has a little, it says do it yourself energy experiments, so you can be conscious of the energy you're using, creating, that kind of thing. The final book of the haul is Psycho-Cybernetics. This is, I believe, a plastic surgeon did some research into self-image because he realised he was changing people's biggest flaws, yet they were still unhappy and not feeling confident. So he did a lot of work on self-image, self-talk, self-concept, and I feel like this one will just be so life-changing. I've heard a lot of people just keep coming back to this one. But kind of my spiritual books. And yeah, that is the end of my haul. I feel like I've run through this really quickly, but I don't know, that's the pace I like things. There's no need to waffle. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching again. Let me know any books you've bought recently, or let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. I will speak to you very, very soon.